Listen, it does not need to be a new year, a new you. It just needs to be a new year, a healthier you. Because sure, okay, they trying to take us down at every front. So get some TLC products and up that metabolism and up that energy and up that immune system, okay, that digestive system. Get that all together with these TLC products right here. And don't forget, okay, sign up for ifyoucanmove.com and become a part of the online gym and shed the pounds, honey. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondi Blue and I am back for another This Is Us review, y'all. All right, so the episode starts off with us seeing Jack as a kid. Okay, Jack is getting ready for this baseball game. I think he is the pitcher for his team, and the whole team is depending on him. That's what his pop says. Pastor him, come on, son, you ready? You know, the whole team is depending on you. And Jack lays down on the bed and is like, God, please, God, please. And he was praying. We didn't know what he was praying about at the time. Okay. Then we see Kevin in his room as a kid going over plays for football. It's, you know, basically that cycle where we see like an overall theme to the episode. And just like with Jack getting ready for his baseball game, we see Kevin getting ready for football camp. Okay, y'all know Kevin is a QB, all right? And it's a big deal for him to learn the plays and be on it. And he knows that his dad is really excited about him being a quarterback and playing football. And it's going to turn into a whole thing. But basically, Kevin feels like this is the only thing he has going for himself at this time in his life. So then adult Kevin in his trailer practicing for his scene. Kate calls. She's on her way to the hospital because the birth mother of the adoptive baby that she's adopting is going into labor. Okay, she's inducing labor. Kevin is about to do this huge scene with Robert De Niro, right? When Madison calls and says that she is in labor about 5 weeks too early, all right? And she's on her way to the hospital. Kevin all of a sudden cannot concentrate on this scene with Robert De Niro. He can't concentrate on this huge film. He has to find a way to get back to LA, to Madison, where she is about to deliver his twins, because he can't be unlike his father. He has to be like Jack. He has to be able to be there for the kids and get the job. He has to be there. Like, he has to be the best father, and the best father in his mind is one that's there from day one. The truth of the matter is, you're really being there for Madison. It's not even the kids. This is about Madison. Kids aren't going to remember whether you were there or not when they were born. What they are going to remember is you being there throughout their lives, okay? And you know this. So I just kind of feel like it's just an extension of the fact that Kevin still has some shit to work on, you know what I'm saying, with his own self-esteem. But I think it pushes him to be such a great person, and that I'm appreciative for. So we're going to get into that. So Jack lost this game, right? As a kid, Jack is walking out of the, you know, the field, and his dad is standing outside by the car drunk, and of course very disappointed that Jack did not win the game for everybody on the team, as if he was the only one out there playing. Okay, and Jack can see his dad is drunk. He doesn't want his dad to drive. His dad is like, well, oh, you think I'm too drunk to drive? All right, then you drive then. Throws him the keys. Jack's like 14 years old, never drove a damn car. But this is probably like the 50s and 60s where, you know, they let people do shit like this. So Jack gets in the car and nervously drives him and his drunk ass daddy home, okay? We're going to get to the thing that actually happened in the car, but, you know, I'm going the way the episode was laid out, okay? So he reminisces on this time with Kevin as he and Kevin drive up to the football camp. We go back to Jack as a kid, and he's driving a car, and his dad is in the passenger seat talking shit about how him being in baseball was a waste of time, and it was his, you know, his stupid mother's fault. And that's the thing Jack couldn't take, the abuse of his mom. So he's like, can you shut up? You know, he kind of raised up on his daddy a bit. And because he's driving and daddy's a little impressed and a little drunk, he's kind of like, okay, big guy. All right, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? And he lays off, okay? The funny thing about this scene is, like, it's just like a bully. Like, but your parents shouldn't be the bully. Like, it shouldn't be your dad or your mom that bullies you. Usually it is either way, but I just kind of find that the way he responded, like if I would have popped off on my dad like that, this shit would have escalated. It wouldn't have gotten better. So the fact that he responded like a bully who's bullying somebody and just needs to get chested up to in order for him to stop, I just kind of felt like that was hella immature and real unstable way to handle your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're trying to make him strong and you want him to be able to defend himself and you think he's all quiet and shit. But a part of kids being quiet is feeling like they're going to get beat up on if they speak their mind. Okay? So, but you could be like me and have the adverse reaction, which I feel like the fact that I was allowed to be myself, but then at the same time was still very controlled in that space. I was still able to become this very boisterous person that you see before you today. But with Jack as a kid, maybe not so much. But still, I just didn't like that his dad did that to him, you know. Like, why is it that you're basically bullying your kid? Like, it's your kid, man. Anyway, so adult Kevin, like I said, is trying to get back to LA to Madison. And Rebecca and Miguel are on the phone trying to find him flights out of Canada back to America. People are driving like maniacs on this dark road. Madison calls and says that she's at the hospital waiting for a room, to which Kevin gets stressed out because she's supposed to have a room already ready. He's a rich movie star. His old lady is supposed to already have a room prepared, but she's, 6 weeks early, not 5 weeks, 6 weeks early. So yeah, they didn't have a room ready for her just yet. Then we see him veer in the opposite lane, and it just makes us so nervous because we've been watching the previews to this episode for the past couple of weeks, and there's always been like a car on the side of the road, which makes us think that Kevin could have possibly gotten hurt or something. Our nerves were so bad this entire time. Just saying. Then he gets off the phone with Madison and gets the phone call from Randall. Okay, and we remember this phone call because we was there. All right. Kevin explains what's going on with Madison, and then Kevin's director calls trying to get him to come back to set. And he says, no one cares about your stupid movie, okay? And it's like, calm down, Kev. You still want to work in Hollywood, but I understand. My fiance is 6 weeks early with our 2 twin babies, and you want me to stay here and worry about you and Robert De Niro? Like, I get that I should care about that, but my kids matter more. My kids are always going to matter more. And that's the Jack about Kevin. He's already the man that he wishes he was. He just needs to relax and, you know, listen a little bit more as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he can be an asshole. He can make it all about him. But I think at this point, he beats up on himself for being that person, you know? A lot of like trying to be a better person going on with Kevin this season. But he quit the movie because he don't have time for that. Like, I have to worry about my old lady and my kids. Madison calls. She's in labor, but the babies are well cooked. Thank God. Miguel finally gets him a flight in Seattle in 2 hours, okay? And he's an hour away, so he's going to make it. Everything's looking up, right? He's feeling the pressure to be perfect like Jack. And Rebecca, you know, kind of walks to the side and, you know, she's like, listen, I know that your dad was great and you want to be perfect, but then the phone cuts out. So the conversation, you know, kind of ends there. And then he comes up on a man who has crashed his car. Kevin, having to be perfect like Jack, gets out of the car, realizes that the man is stuck in the car and that the car is on fire. And so he gets the man out of the car. He says, listen, I'm going to push the steering wheel. You got to move your legs out from under so I can get you out of this car, okay? So Kevin goes from being, you know, a super movie star dad quitting his movie to run and be by his old lady's side to now superhero who's saving man out of fiery death. Like, whoa, Kev, whoa. The truth of the matter is they're going to postpone the movie for a few days. They should. And then have Kevin back. Because when it hits the news that Kevin stopped on the way from the movie to the labor of his kids because he was not going to miss out on being there for his kids, and then he saves this man's life on the way there, your movie is going to blow up. So yeah, Kevin's going to definitely still be a part of that movie because what he did that night is great press for that movie. Period. Just saying, okay? So as a kid, see Kevin, they get to the football camp, and Kevin's coach and some players from Penn State are laying on the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to see what Kevin is going to do as one of the quarterbacks at the camp. This was right after Kevin had overheard Jack telling Rebecca that the way she treats Kevin makes him soft. You know what I'm saying? So now that's in his head as well. I can't be soft, okay? And he thinks football is his only shot to be special, which is so upsetting because I feel like even without any singular thing that we do, the fact that we are on this earth breathing and living proves that we are supposed to be here. We deserve to be here, and nobody gets to tell us that we're not special enough to exist in any space. Okay, just for the simple fact that we are here and we are taking up that space. So you don't get to tell me I don't deserve to be there. You don't get to tell me that I'm not special just because I don't fit into whatever box that you believe is special, because you never know what's special about somebody. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I feel like a lot of the times we don't even know how special we are, you know, as people, or even as one singular person. You have no idea how maybe the smallest thing in your life could have affected somebody in such a way just by you being kind one day, or nice one day, or listening to somebody one day. Like those little small things every now and again, I feel like they build up to encompass the person that you are, and those things come back to you. And that's just how I feel about it. So it doesn't always have to be a job or a career or even a talent for that matter. Sometimes it can just be being a good enough person that you affect the people around you in a positive way, and it helps them to be the best person that they can be, or even just to affect them in a positive way in any way, which helps them then do the same for the next person. So, I mean, I just kind of feel like that's subjective. Somebody being special. Everybody's special. Child, if y'all knew how hard it was for some folks to get, you know, pregnant and have children, you know, for all of the things to align for, you know, sperm and egg to come together and create a whole damn human being that carries the full term. If you knew how much of a phenomenon that really is, then you realize how special you are just for being born, period. So Kevin is scared. Kevin goes back up to the room and throws up. And Jack is like, you know, what's going on? Are you okay? And he explains how he feels. You know what I'm saying? Like he feels like he doesn't have anything else. And his coach is always riding him every day. And Jack is making excuses for the coach because we're used to coaches being hard asses. But when Kevin says he tells me I'm stupid every day, Jack gets pissed. And he doesn't show it. But he says, Kevin, let's go get some food. And Kevin's like, Dad, I kind of just want to lay down. He's like, Kevin, get your jacket. We're going to go get some food. Okay, we're not taking no for an answer. So they go to this restaurant and they sit at the bar to eat. And they order, you know, like a medium rare steak with some fries and a Coke because Jack doesn't drink. Okay, even though we're sitting at the bar. Jack tells him how when he was a kid, you know, he used to play baseball. And his dad would show up to the games drunk. And if he won, then it'd be a good car ride home. And he began to pray before every game that he would win, just so he wouldn't have a terrible car ride home with his drunken ass dad. Okay. And the last thing he wanted to do was to ruin the sport for Kevin the way it was ruined for him, because he was really good at it and he enjoyed it. But his dad took that from him by making it about the drunken car rides home after the game. And the funny part is that the dad probably felt like, I have to be there for him in some capacity. This is the way I'm going to be there for him. And has no idea how him not being able to control his liquor or his anger or whatever affected his son negatively when he was really just trying to show up for him. Everything in my mind tells me that the dad felt like he was doing the right thing by being there for those games, whether he was drunk or not. Because of the bad car rides home and the things his dad would say to him, he would replay all the things that his dad would say negatively to him in his head when he was getting ready to play ball. And sometimes that would get the better of him. He does, however, make sure to tell Kevin that his dad wasn't all bad, because Kevin was like, damn, Dad, I didn't even know he was like that. You know, you don't really talk about him a lot. And he said, you know, there were times when his dad wasn't the worst. And then we go back to that car ride. And Jack had gotten him and his dad home safely. And his dad says, not bad, and pats him on the shoulder. And the car ride ends up not being bad just because he lost the game. He drove him home safely, and the dad was impressed by that. Jack tells Kevin that he's not trying to be like his dad, and now he realized that he's stressing him out and making him sick, just like his dad stressed him out. And Kevin says, no, Dad, you're better than him. And I was just kind of like, that was such a moment for me, That was such a moment for me because I know, even though it was never expressed to me, I know my grandfather, my dad's dad, was a hard ass. And I know that my dad really was more affectionate, even though he wasn't affectionate as much. You know, it's like my mom or even some other dads that I know. I mean, he still, I feel like, was trying to be better than his dad was to him. And they worked all the time too. And my dad, you know, was one that made sure he showed up for everything, because I think his parents weren't there for him all the time because of how much they had to work. He had his grandfather, and that's the person that showed him the most love, which is why he wasn't as hard as he could have been. You know what I'm saying? Because I think my dad could have been way worse. I think he was worse when he was younger. By the time I came along, he was in his 40s, on his second wife, and, you know, a little bit more chilled out. My older siblings got it worse, I know. But for sure, when I looked at this, I understood and felt what it was like to know that your dad really is trying to be a better version of the father that he got. You know what I'm saying? And for him to actually succeed at that. I never got a chance to tell my dad that, but I think he already knows how I felt about him because, you know, selfish children, when they're 19, don't take time away from fucking their boyfriends to go and spend the weekend just watching TV with their dad on the sofa. And I did that because I loved him and I just wanted to be around him. And, you know, I wanted him to know what I felt for him without me having to say it, because a lot of the times we didn't have to say it. You know what I'm saying? So I totally understood that moment, and it made me feel a way. Okay. So Jack hears the coach, Kevin's coach, laughing at a nearby table, sees him go into the bathroom. So Jack says, I'm going to go wash my hands, use the bathroom right quick. I'll be right back. Goes to the bathroom. Walks up on the coach. Coach like, hey, how you doing? I know you must be excited. You know, I know you're here to support Kevin. He was like, yeah, I'm here to watch Kevin, but I'm here to watch you too. And this is when he realizes that the energy is not what he thought it was. He grabs the napkin and he gives it to the coach and he says, don't ever call my son stupid again. And he was like, oh, he was like, tell me you understand me. And the coach said, I understand. And then he runs his ass out of that restaurant like, you know, his ass was on fire or something. And I thought it was hilarious. And Jack just goes back to the bar and acts as if nothing happened. Acts as if nothing was said at all. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? It was another thing that reminded me of my dad. Nobody's going to fuck with my kids but me. Basically, how my dad felt about it. It's so funny because I feel like sometimes when dads are like that, you know, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to tell him anything because I don't know how he would react. I used to always feel like at the end of the day, if somebody else did me something, I'm telling my daddy. Like, you got me. And I always felt like that, bro. So, you know, just to see him be in such strong defense of his son and then play it off, I just love that moment. So we go back to Kevin risking his life to save this man who was stuck in his car after it crashed. And on his way to the hospital, he calls Madison to tell her that he's gonna make it. He's still trying to make it. The guy he saved tells him, you know, that his kids are going to worship him. He's a movie star. He's rich. Kevin is like, kids don't care about that. The only thing I cared about with my dad is that he was there all the time. And Kevin says that his dad would have figured out a way to do it all, to save this man, to do the job, to make it to Madison on time. He would have figured out a way to do it all. And I'm like, that's way too much pressure to put on yourself. That's way too much pressure to put on yourself. It is great to have great parents and have them set an example of what you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to handle yourself. That's what they're supposed to do. But you're not supposed to go about your life setting unrealistic expectations for what you should be able to do because of how you feel about your dad. At the end of the day, your dad was a recovering alcoholic who a lot of the times barely was making ends meet with 3 kids and a wife. The truth of the matter is he showed up the best way he knew how, which is in the way he treated y'all and the way he raised y'all. But there were a lot of ways that I'm sure he fell short when it came to, you know, you guys' lifestyles or dealing with Randall being black and growing up, you know, in a white society and in a household with nobody that looks like him. There were a lot of times when your dad and your parents fall short. And I think it is realistic to know that, to understand that, to forgive them for it, but also to recognize that nobody's perfect and you shouldn't put unrealistic expectations on yourself, because the people that you're looking up to, you have no idea what the story really is. You think you know, but you don't. You know, and that's what's real for Kevin. Kevin doesn't really understand who his dad was. He just sees him as the hero. But he drops the man off at the hospital, y'all. Drops him off at the hospital, gets him the help that he needs, and then, you know, runs off to the airport, realizes that he doesn't have his ID, and then he is begging the black security lady to let him on the flight. And I was like, that security lady is not about to lose her job for you, Kevin. Even though I do feel like if I'm a public figure and you can Google me and see what I look like, and you know what I'm saying? But I do feel like there are way too many impersonators. But still, like, y'all got facial recognition software at the airport. Stop playing with me. Y'all could definitely look at him and look at, you know, the Manny and be like, yeah, that's Kevin Pearson. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he can get a court mark. You know what I mean? Maybe he can get like one of those police officers, those federal officers that be on planes to like escort him or something like that. I don't know. But we left it on a cliffhanger, so we don't know if he's gonna make it. Madison is at the hospital, feeling mighty down, feeling mighty bad. And I see you, Miss Silly. I'm sorry, y'all. But basically she is coming to the conclusion that she might be having these 2 twin babies by herself, which is not a good thought. And when I thought about that, I felt sad for her. And then Randall and Beth call. And it just reminds me how much like Jack Randall is. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's so funny because like you have all of this man's genetics. Randall is the one that's actually not biologically his kid, but effortlessly is the most giving, you know, and beautiful part of who Jack was. You know what I'm saying? And that's that nurture over nature shit for sure. You know what I'm saying? There are some times when, yeah, the nature thing takes over, and that shows up in the physicality of it all. But in the emotion, in the mental, in the spiritual, Jack still poured into Randall. You know what I'm saying? He still poured into him. So the fact that, you know, the first thought after Randall and them find out what's going on is to call Madison and sit on the phone with her. And at first she was like, no, I'm okay. And, you know, they're like, no, we can sit on the phone with you. They're driving home from New Orleans. I hate when people try to say New Orleans. New Orleans. Say new. Don't say New Orleans. Say New Orleans. Okay, listen. New Orleans. Okay? Just bring the words together and don't hit the R so hard. New Orleans. You hear me? Okay. That's what it is. Not New Orleans. Y'all be doing too much. Anyway. But anyway, they stay on the phone with her, and we see that they're like gonna video chat with her while she's having the baby until, you know, Kevin can get to her, if he does get to her. Oh my God. When she cried because they cared enough to call her and she really doesn't have anybody, y'all. Oh my God. The emotion. Anyway, you guys, I love This Is Us. I think it's such a great show. That's why I continue to review it, even though it's not one of my like highly viewed videos. But I love it anyway. So I hope y'all enjoyed the review. I really enjoyed the episode. I can't wait to see what happens. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Mwah.